Shimcheongga is one of the most mournful and tragic stories among the 5 remaining in Korean epic chant. It is a tale about a girl named Shimcheong and her transformative filial piety to her blind father, and sacrifices herself so that her father can regain his eyesight. For this project, I specifically chose this story because I believe that it is one of the best stories that can connect with anyone to what Pansori is. It portrays almost every kind of lament and sorrow one can experience in their life. Tears of sadness, grief, sorrow, loss, and even happiness and joy. The closest equivalent that I can think of to a storytelling collection written for a violin in Western Baroque music would be the Beaver Rosary Sonatas, which are a collection of 15 short sonatas for violin and continuo that represent important moments in the life of Christ. So, taking this idea into lecture, I've asked my colleague Jung-Won Oh to reconstruct the story of Shimcheongga into a collection of 15 pieces for solo Baroque violin. Pansori is a form of musical storytelling, otherwise known as Korean opera or Korean epic chant, where one singer interweaves in harmony with the drum and the audience. The singer tells a very long story following the beats of a drum to create a very epic tale, combining elements of song, narration, and gestures. The fact that Pansori is sung by one singer and is still considered an opera may be because the singer alone becomes all of the characters in the story, including the narrator. Essentially, for the singer, the whole body from head to toe becomes the instrument. Unlike Western music, Pansori is not taught or studied with sheet music or systematic notes in the beginning, but instead is passed down vocally in order to develop more freedom of adding scenes and individualizing musical gestures. What Pansori singers have is text, and of course text has meaning. But as a violinist, what I can do is imitate the decorations of the voice as much as possible. And using all of these intervals and showing the wideness and vibrato and shifts allows the violin to show the deepness in meaning. In pursuing this project, I had hopes of sharing what I believe that best represents my cultural identity with music, and the journey so far has been very rewarding. With the desire to replicate the sound and expression of an original Pansori singer, this project definitely became an artistic and technical challenge for me. I think the biggest challenge was to figure out how I can replicate the harshness and strain in voice, as well as the use of vibrato used by an original Pansori singer. The music that Jung-Won has written for me is essentially like an early 17th century Western piece with very simple notes and rhythms, and kind of left the rest for me to interpret and improvise. Having such simple melodies and rhythms, I feel that it allows me to maximize the feeling of lament coming from the instrument. As you can hear, every increment of sound going from note to note means an emotion and shows a very painful gesture. And I chose to play these pieces on Baroque violin with gut strings because I believe that they make closest sound and expression to that of an original Pansori singer. The raspiness in voice I find is a very similar sound to the bow being drawn across gut strings. And in order to create sounds of weeping or wailing or even screaming, it's done with the left hand using the intervals and shifting in vibrato. The lingering sounds made from the violin during silences or whenever the vibrato is stopped, I think are perfect moments for portraying sadness and strength.